me.
I mean, do you think that the Steam Deck will be the best place to play games at coming up?
Dude, the Steam Deck is some serious news, man.
I mean, it seems pretty heavy, right?
Yeah.
I don't even know where this came from.
It seems heavy, like heavy news, right?
I wasn't even like expecting, another handheld to be launched or anything like that. But this seems like it's possibly, it's gone further than any handheld has gone before. This seems like there's almost no limitations to this thing.
Right.
So the Steam Deck, it was announced
2 days ago.
2 days
Thursday,
ago, right?
14th, I believe.
So this thing, do you got the specs pulled up for this sucker?
I don't. Well, I have the specs here.
Okay.
I do know it has 16 gigabytes of RAM. Mm-hmm. It has a 8 RDNA 2 CU GPU, an AMD Zen 2 processor, 7-inch 1200 by 800 display. So that's why I say it's a little bit better than 720.
Right.
It's like 800p. It's a little bit taller. The reason why that is because it's got a 16 by 10 aspect ratio screen.
Okay.
So not 16 by 9, which is the normal aspect ratio.
Yeah.
And it has 3 different storage capacities, depending on how much you want to pay.
Right.
So the $399 variant comes in at 64 gigabytes of storage. Mm-hmm. The 539, I believe.
529
variant comes in at 256, and the 649 or 629.
649
comes at 512 gigabytes.
Right.
And what's so exciting about this thing? First of all, this isn't like a meme. You know when they launched Steam, the Steam machine? Remember that? The Steam machine?
I believe so.
And it had just a controller and a little Steam box, and you linked your PC to your television.
Right.
And no one bought that.
Yeah.
And they were doing sales on that, but hey, if you just buy our controller, we'll give you the Steam machine.
Box for free, yeah.
And no one took that serious at all. Mm-hmm. No one's laughing at this, man. No one's joking at this. This is really serious. And I think the reason why is to be honest, in my opinion, this is like lightning in a bottle because it just so happened to work. I don't know if they had insider information, but Nintendo did not launch a Pro model.
No.
And OLED, they announced OLED a couple weeks ago, so they would have been ahead of this because Steam Deck just announced today. So they could have got ahead of this. Nintendo could have got ahead of this problem.
Right.
And said, hey, we have a Pro model, and it's going to play all the third-party games like you want. It's going to play Witcher 3. It's going to play Phoenix Rising. It's going to play Assassin's Creed.
It plays everything, it seems like. Damn near.
Nintendo could have got ahead of this, but they didn't. They didn't launch a Pro model. They just launched this OLED
this
model.
old piece of shit model.
And the very next day, almost the very next week, Steam comes out and says they immediately capitalized on that frustration. People were very frustrated that there was no Pro model. People really wanted a PS4, PS3 in their hands, and Steam says, "This is the time, man. Let's reveal it. Let's launch this thing."
At least a
and
PS3,
they did.
Right?
At least a PS3, and Steam says, "Here it is. This is what you wanted. We're delivering it." And when you start to dive into it, you're like, "Holy crap! This is what we wanted." Yeah. This is the Switch Pro that we all wanted, because the GPU is a 2 teraflop GPU, which is a little better than a PS4. A PS4 was like a 1.86, I think, or 1.9 teraflop GPU. This is a 2.0 GPU.
Right.
It has the newer architecture than what the PS4 has. This will run games just as good or better than a PS4 will, and that's all we wanted. We wanted a PS3 at least, but a PS4 ideally. Yeah. In the palm of our hands.
Now, when you guys were first shooting this to me in the chat, in the WLG chat, I was like, so what? A Steam Deck, it's okay, a handheld, that's $400. That's the same price as a PS5, digital version or whatever. Why would I pay $400 for this? You know what I mean? And then I started looking at it. You guys were talking about it a lot more, filling me in on some of the stuff because I hadn't had a chance to watch the video all the way. But the fact that you've got a unit that is essentially a mobile PC for sure. Like, this thing could literally probably run everything that a regular PC could. So
Yep.
you could get your Microsoft Word going. You could get whatever going. You can hook
You can use it as a
keyboards,
desktop.
mouses. Yeah, if you plug the dock up to it to the screen, it's literally, you know, your CPU and all of that. Like, it literally could hold files and allow you to do homework, whatever. And I was just like, you know, dumbfounded because, like, if you look at this as just like a central hub for something, you know, you're talking about, you know, you can use the regular Steam app setup that they have in there that makes everything easy and gives you like a different way to access Steam. But if not, you could probably access your Epic Game Store.
You can.
You can access
Game
Pass for the PC on there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to give you a lot of gaming options. And then, you know, because it's Steam, you also have access to any of the PlayStation games that have released on the Steam store.
Yep.
So now you're able to play Steam or PlayStation, Xbox, and then whatever
All the
other
PC games.
PC games that come out.
Literally
So
any
this is
PC
like-
game in the world you can play.
So literally the only thing that you cannot play on this is Nintendo games, Nintendo first party games.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So, I mean, I was looking at the prices, you know, you got 400, 530, and then 650, and it's like, oh damn, like, you know, $650, $700 for a handheld console is like batshit nuts. But I do see that there are some good upgrades that would make it worthwhile to not go with the basic, you know, model of the 64 gigs and at least start with the 256 because of the fact that there's an SSD internal storage.
Right.
So that means those heavy games, like even trying to play like Days Gone on there, is gonna load a lot quicker on that system than if you were to play on the 64 because that one's got an eMMC storage or
Right.
something like that on there. And then if you get the 512 version, you get that SSD internal storage, and then you also get like this
That gloss screen.
anti-glare, you know, screen or something like that on there. So they are adding a little something extra on there besides just saying, hey, you're paying this much
Right.
to have more data.
It's going to be a little nicer
on
screen.
there.
Yeah.
Right. It's gonna be slightly more nicer or durable or whatever
Right.
of a screen. And then, you know, I thought it was cool that they give you, you know, a carrying case with it so that
Comes
it's
with
fit
it.
to go. You know, the Switch never had that. You always had to, you know, that was an accessory thing that you had to buy down the line. But I mean, it just seems like it's nuts. Like they allow you to plug in a USB Type-C hub, and then you can plug several other items in there too. So
Yeah,
it's just not
yeah,
limited
exactly. You
to
can
what
use
you
one
connect.
USB,
Right.
and you can connect a monitor, a keyboard, a mouse, all into that one USB.
Right.
This is a PC, a personal computer, laptop, desktop. Like, you honestly can literally, if you wanted to justify the $650. Like, let's say you have an old desktop computer,
Right.
You can literally get rid of your desktop and make
Just use
this
this.
your desktop,
Right.
because you just put it on your on your counter. It's like the smallest, like a Mac Mini.
Yeah.
It's like you just put it on your counter, plug your monitor into it, and you
you're
literally,
good to
like
go.
you said, you're editing videos, you're doing homework, you're writing letters, you're writing your books, you're doing whatever you want,
Right.
like a desktop computer, and then you can attach that, take it with you, and you're literally freaking playing Days Gone in your hands in your car.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's really
That's crazy.
incredible. This is really, really awesome.
I mean, with seeing this Steam Deck, is there even a reason for Xbox to even be like contemplating a handheld device?
No.
Like,
To me, a
or
lot of people are
PlayStation
talking
even?
about, well, PlayStation, yeah, more so, not quite as much, but
Uh-huh.
more so than Xbox, because this is going to give you access to Game Pass. So Xbox,
they don't
man,
gotta
they
do
did
shit.
it. They did it for us. They went and spent the money. They developed the system. We didn't have to do nothing.
Yeah.
And we're going to, dude, you cannot tell me this is not going to increase Game Pass subscriptions. Microsoft is ecstatic about this. This doesn't help Sony that much. It does a little bit on Steam with a couple games. They have like 2 games, I think, that you
Yeah.
can get right now. Days Gone and
Horizon?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
But it really helps Microsoft in a way that I'm shocked
Yeah.
that I've never seen before.
I mean, it's literally like the best case scenario you could get, right? Because like fuck xCloud. Like, we've been waiting for
Right.
a long time for xCloud to actually be something good, because you just have, it's too
Cloud
many
isn't
variables.
viable. It's too
It's
hard.
too many
Yeah, the
variables
tech
that you
isn't
have
there
to
yet.
worry about in order to properly utilize xCloud. But the fact that you could just have the Xbox Game Pass for PC on your console, on that Steam Deck, and then be able to download any of the games, and all you had to do was just log in and be able to play them, so there's no like lag or anything like that. All it is you just had an internet connection to log in. You don't need anything else.
Yeah, I think that's
Like,
what
this is
people
great.
like need to understand. While it's so mind blowing, is because we think of something so tiny like this, and not understanding that you're literally downloading the full freaking game onto your console,
Right.
your handheld, the full game, all 60 gigs, right? 50 gigs onto your console, and playing it directly from your hard drive. No cloud interface,
Right.
no cloud trash. Like, I know Mark, we've talked about it a lot, wishing, well, what if Nintendo Switch went with cloud-based xCloud? And I always shit on it because I don't like xCloud. I've played it, I've tried it.
It's
Even
rough,
when
man.
I'm right next to my freaking router,
Yeah.
it doesn't work. And so
I mean, it's just as
This
bad
ex-
as trying to play, like, you know, the PS4 remote play or something
Just
like that.
as bad
and
as
you're
PS4
on your
remote play.
internet, you know,
Exactly.
right there in the living room. Like,
this is
It's
the
lag on it.
dream that we've all waited for in a handheld, a machine that is a PS4 in power and has enough hard drive space and ability to download games directly to it, to play it off your own hard drive like a real game, is just what is so shocking about this
yeah,
thing.
you can download Windows to be able to, like,
You can
run
download Windows
stuff
and
on
just
there.
run Windows on Steam.
Because it's got like a Linux processor or whatever, right? Like
Well, it's operating
running off-
system.
yeah,
It's running off a
operating
Linux,
system off of Linux.
operating system, but you can
Right.
just download Windows 10 onto this thing. Especially if you have a 512 on there.
Right.
You can easily download that, take up 60, whatever, 80 gigs.
Yeah.
And you have plenty of space left, and it has an expandable storage slot.
And an
so you can
expandable
just
storage
expand
slot.
that storage if you need. This thing is pretty future proof.
It's
16 gigs
micro
of
SD,
RAM
man.
on board.
Yeah.
That's more RAM than you'll ever need. That will run very fast, very smooth. If you're running it as a desktop, it's going to feel snappy because it's got the solid state drive and it's got the 16 gigs of RAM.
Right.
You're not going to feel like you're missing out on anything. So that's why, like, in my mind, it's like if you want to just replace your desktop, dude, and it goes with you wherever you go, or
This
you
is
leave it
it.
at home, this is it. You got it.
It's
and it
so
has
out
the
of the way.
controls
All you gotta
already
do
on
is
there.
mount yourself a computer screen on the wall or whatever,
Yep.
and you got yourself a little desktop right there, man. And
I
that's able to
think
go.
Microsoft is ecstatic. I think they were cheering when they saw this. You saw Microsoft come on and congratulate them.
No, I didn't.
This is the great direction to go in. There hasn't been nothing from Sony.
Yeah.
And there hasn't been nothing, I think, from Nintendo.
Okay.
I think this really hurts Nintendo a lot. Like I said, just so happens because they
Yeah.
didn't bring a Pro out.
Man.
Because people who are like thinking about buying an OLED are going to be like, shoot,
Why would I
actually,
buy
I'm going
that?
to go here for $50 more and I can get this.
or at least, you know, like $200 more, and then you got something that's just
$200 more,
that's
you can
capable
use
to
it.
play
It
everything
replaces your home
except the
computer.
Nintendo. Keep your old Nintendo Switch, and then just buy this and be able to play all of that shit. I'm kind of salty now that I haven't been on Steam and then on Epic,
have a huge
just
Steam
getting
library.
all of the
Yeah.
games that they just
Especially
be giving for free.
Epic. Epic
'Cause it's
I haven't got onto, yeah.
It's like, damn, I never grabbed them before because I didn't have no reason to. You know what I mean? I don't PC game, but this is like, it's a PC thing, so I'd be able to grab all that stuff. And then I can only imagine like the packets of like emulators and stuff like that, you know, of like the pirated games or whatever. But like, you know, they gonna be having some shit on there, man. There's gonna be plenty of them Steam decks that's playing mad pirated Nintendo games on that.
Oh
bitch.
yeah,
And it's gonna be
absolutely.
easy.
For me, when I saw this and I dug into it, and like when you were digging into it, it's like, God Lord, this thing does everything.
Yeah.
Normally, it's like they just shattered our mind and like, why didn't we think of this already? Because gaming has always been like this walled-in garden, right? You buy into Sony and you're in this walled garden. There's only these things you can do. You can't do this. You can't do that. You're like walled in.
Right.
Or you buy into Nintendo and you're in their
stuck into
ecosystem and
that,
you're
yeah.
you're walled into what. I mean, Nintendo doesn't even have Bluetooth, for crying out loud. The Vita did.
Right.
The freaking Vita from like a decade ago had Bluetooth, and Nintendo still doesn't, right? So like, you're stuck in this little walled garden, and that's how I think we've always thought, well, that's normal. And so when you see a new console come out, your first thought is, oh, this is going to be Steam's little walled-in garden. What will Steam allow us to do? And Steam says, no, you can do whatever you want with this.
The Nintendo Switch does have Bluetooth.
I don't think it does. I don't think
believe
Nintendo
it
Switch has
does.
Bluetooth.
Let me see. I'm trying to look.
I'm almost positive that it doesn't.
I think maybe it's their. Maybe it's their.
It has
own
Bluetooth for
proprietary
like the
stuff.
controllers, yes,
Yeah.
but not like I can't connect
For,
my I
like,
cannot connect my
headphones.
AirPods to
Okay.
it. That's what I
Alright,
mean by
I got
Bluetooth.
you.
Yeah,
Alright.
you can't connect external devices to it. They lock you out of that.
Yeah.
Their
for
device
sure.
may be capable of it, but they use software to lock you out because
Right.
they only want things that they want attaching to
Or
it.
you gotta go about some roundabout.
Or
thing
some
trying to
roundabout
get Bluetooth
jailbreak
on
it or
there.
something like that, right?
got you. All right,
That's what I mean.
continue.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So you hear the Steam Deck coming out, and you're like, okay, what are they gonna let us do? And Steam's like, nah, you can do whatever you want with this thing. And it really hit me when I was watching that Q&A video.
Yeah.
Did you watch that video?
Right.
He asked a question, yes.
The
He asked a
IGN one,
question,
right?
yes. The IGN one.
Right.
He asked a question, yes, yes, yes.
Essentially.
yes, yeah. There was
Yeah.
no no's.
Right.
He said, you want to play VR on this? You can. It's like, are you kidding me? I can hook my Oculus Rift or whatever and
Right.
play on this
I'm
thing?
wondering now, like, okay, like the Oculus Quest was like a win, right? Because it was wireless and all of that stuff. But you know, if you were to get like the Oculus Rift 2 or something like that, that has to be attached to the PC, it's not really that bad if you're able to tuck this thing into a backpack.
And
or
then you can
something
play
and
VR
you're
on the
wireless, yeah.
dude.
But you store all your games on this thing. Like the Rift might be cheaper than the actual Quest. And you could actually, that could boost sales in the Rift. The fact that it's
Absolutely.
just, it's movable like that.
It was just a trip, right? To hear them constantly say, yes, you can. You want Bluetooth? Yes. You want to hook up a monitor? Yes. You want a dock? Sure, we'll build one. But if you don't want ours, you can buy one from Best Buy. And they
Yeah.
were like not even afraid. Jim Ryan and these guys, whenever they have interviews, they're like so on script.
Yeah.
Like it's just like mechanical.
They don't want to give you a yes or no.
They don't want to give you nothing, and they were really careful. They didn't seem to care. It was such a great launch, man. Like, I think they're going to sell millions of these things, and in my mind, dude, they might have just unlocked, in my opinion, the future of gaming.
I think it would really be like a solidified, future adaptation or whatever.
I
If
mean,
they
like
could
the
have made it,
PS6 will be
modular,
this. I'm saying like the next PlayStation
Could be something
will
mini
be
like that.
handheld, but all the power's in your hands, and you can hook it up to a television if you want. All that usability
Now
is what I think the future is.
my thing, okay, so they've got the Steam Deck and it's got the 720p and all of that, and it's pretty strong or whatever. But I'm wondering if they could possibly create some type of dock that would be able to give you that 4K, out
They do. I
production
think.
for that.
I think Mark said that they do. The dock will upscale it.
It will upscale
to 4K.
it. Okay,
Yeah.
it'll upscale it.
It won't be
give you,
native.
like, the native.
It'll be
or anything.
upscaled. And the reason why this thing works is because it's going down to 800, 700p.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not working so hard to give you high resolutions,
Right.
it can run everything else beautifully. So you can run like Days Gone, or you can run like Portal 2 in like 60 frames per second.
Yeah.
Because it's only pumping out 720p resolution.
Right.
So because this thing doesn't have to work at pumping out high resolutions, it can play everything. And
I
it
still
plays
wish it
everything
would have been
smoothly.
at least 1080p though.
Yeah, I
That would've
agree,
been
but I
nice.
understand that the architecture around why they would do that, because it allows them to play anything now.
Right.
And I think that's what I also mean by this being the future. In our gaming history, whenever a handheld comes out, it's always been like a separate console that has its own separate games.
Right.
Where Nintendo kind of changed that. They made their Switch come out, and it's a handheld console, but all of our first-party games, all of our major games are going to play on this thing.
Right.
Every game we make now will play on this thing. I think that's the future. I don't think Sony needs to come out with like another Vita
No.
and like say, here's a Vita and developers, now you got to produce separate games for it. I don't think anyone's going to like
They
that.
just need to start a PC division.
But it's like, hey, here's a new Vita, but whenever game comes out, it plays on it. That's what I think is the next gen
Oh, okay.
leap.
So
Where,
you're
like,
saying
any
PlayStation would
game-
still have their own proprietary thing, but all of their games would
can
be able
play
to play on that as well.
It's not like a Vita where like you're playing a separate Vita game.
Right.
It's like, no, when freaking Ghost of Tsushima launches, I'm playing it on my PlayStation handheld.
Yeah.
Like I'm playing it on both of them. And I think like that's the leap forward that I'm thinking they might have missed on this next round that Steam saw.
But also, do you think that they could forego those like exclusive only on PlayStation titles and make it so that they release on PC as well at the same time? So like now
That's
you're getting
another
new
route.
titles that
See,
are
that's
not
an-
just on PlayStation, but now they're on PC, so you can play them on the Steam Deck.
That's another route they could go without. So basically, the Microsoft route.
Yeah.
How Microsoft got lucky here because they're already on PC.
They're already there.
And so it's like, gosh, this is so intelligent what Steam did. And Microsoft was like, shoot, man, like we just basically
Fell into this.
fell into this cash crop because people are going to subscribe to Game Pass now. Like it's going to be like an Xbox machine, basically. Because you could play all the first party games on it. Because all the Xbox games will launch on it and you can play them right on your Steam Deck.
And I'm sure they gotta come up with, they gotta be like working on an application that is just as smooth as the basic Steam application is, that you would be able to just download that and then run that without having to do any extra stuff.
Exactly.
You know? Like without having to go out of your way to try to like get the Microsoft, the Windows or whatever on there and all of this and stuff.
Microsoft is like, no,
Like-
here's a Linux model.
Yeah, here
that
it
you
is.
can use.
You can
right?
just click on that.
Yeah.
And then it'll open it up just as if you were to open up the little Steam one that they have on the console, and boom, you're
Exactly.
able to put all your,
I wouldn't
all
even
your
be-
games and stuff.
I wouldn't even be surprised
If
if
it's there
they,
at launch.
dude, if they
It
just,
should be.
dude, at launch. Like I
That
wouldn't
would
even
be
be
best
surprised
bet.
if they're like, oh, you know what? Actually, now we're gonna start launching first party games on PC as well, day one. Because usually there's a lag, right? There's a
Right,
few month
right.
lag
A
or
little bit of
whatever,
time, yeah.
because they want to push the console. But now they're gonna be like, wait a minute, what are we thinking? We want to sell subscriptions.
They just want subscriptions. Yeah,
And
that's
now-
the reason why they're including these. You know, there's been the rumors of them including these Xbox, Series S's or whatever within a TV. You know, being able
Right.
to play the game within
right.
the TV.
Put a
and stuff
Series
like
S in the
that.
TVs now. Yeah, exactly.
They don't even have to worry about any of that shit. I mean, they can if they'd like, but it's not even necessary. Like you have this, you know what I mean? You
This
create
thing is-
yourself a TV app, and then you have this.
You're right.
A Steam
Make
app,
an
and
app.
that's it.
Just make an app,
That will download shit onto the TV.
and you're gonna have a
you
stinking.
gotta put in a USB stick maybe to hold the data.
You will sell
Because
so many subscriptions.
TVs
it's not
probably
even
ain't got
funny.
enough data on there, but
Yeah, it's just it feels antiquated now to play on a console, right? Like my PlayStation 5 console,
right.
it feels a little antiquated. It's like, wow, you could just literally, we're at the point now where you can put that into a handheld. It's like, wow, that feels old now. All of a sudden, when this launched, it felt like my PS5 became old, like immediately.
Well, it didn't feel
It's
like
not
that to me,
old. It's not old, but
I
you
hear
know,
what
you
you're
know what I'm
saying.
saying?
I hear
Like
what you're saying.
just practically in my mind, the notion it's like, wow, this is going
It makes
away.
my Nintendo Switch feel
Well,
old
it
as
definitely makes the Switch feel old.
It's like, damn, like literally, I mean,
Dude.
I was really only playing this Switch for the first party games on there, but like legit show, like that's all Nintendo is going to get away with selling on this bitch.
Absolutely.
It's their games. Like
Maybe
third
some
party shouldn't
indies.
even make shit on
the
here
third
now.
party shouldn't even try it because I mean, what
It's
competition?
not needed now. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely. I think
That's
Nintendo
crazy.
should be like a tad worried,
Yeah.
which I'm happy. Nintendo needs to feel some sweat, man.
yeah.
Like their success has only made us suffer. They're so successful they can release an OLED model.
they don't got to do no
They don't got
extra
to do nothing.
innovative
So
shit.
we
Yeah.
suffer. This competition is so much needed.
Right.
Like Nintendo had a monopoly on handhelds, and now they don't anymore. And so it's like this was just really dope news.
This is
So
true. I
I'm gonna
hope
be
that
keeping an
this-
eye out to get one if I can.
I hope that this works out the way it is. And pre-orders are going right now. So if you
Right.
can pre-order
You
it
got to try
before
to
the
find
window
a way to
closes,
pre-order. I heard it
then-
already sold out the first
Oh, really?
batch. Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm just gonna kind of keep an eye out.
I think you could probably go on their website, like on Steam. and-
Yeah, they're doing like a
and-
$5 reserve thing.
Yeah, $5
Yeah.
reserve. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's interesting. I don't think I'm gonna go for the 650 one, but I might be inclined to go for that 529.
529,
just so
yeah.
I can get the solid state drive.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the 256 gigs is cool, but I got
It's not
micro
bad. It's like
SDs.
little over $100 more
Yeah,
for a solid
130
state
bucks more,
256
yeah, for that.
gigabyte drive. Like that's worth it. It's a deal, you know.
Yeah, just for the faster download speeds
Mhm.
and moving and stuff like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's worth it.
Yeah.
I feel, especially if you could possibly use this as a desktop.
You can
or
always
something
expand
like
it
that.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's where I'm intrigued. While like I'm somewhat intrigued to get the 650 one
Mhm.
because a Mac Mini is 600.
Yeah.
The base model is 600,
Right.
and I've always been curious about getting one of those. because I really like them. The
Right.
compact, small, you know, they're snappy. Where, man, maybe this will be my next PC. Like, I'll just buy this and it'll be my next PC.
Yeah.
You know, because I could just keep using my mouse and keyboard on it, and I get to get rid of all the junk. You know, the big, desktop and stuff. So that's where like it's somewhat enticing to get the big one if you're really planning on making this your PC.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
great news, exciting, man.
Yeah, man. And for
I